Well, all right, here we go with the first episode of the SHFT Hockey Podcast. I'm Jory Elliott. Today we've got a conversation with University of Regina Cougars goaltender Morgan Baker, where she'll share the story of her journey to university hockey, covering everything from how she got started playing the position of goal, at what age she zeroed her athletic focus in on goaltending, and how she navigated a junior career in the PWHL to landing a spot with the University of Regina. It's a conversation chock full of great insight for female goaltenders with aspirations of playing hockey in the NCAA or USports. So grab yourself a comfortable spot and let's get right to it. Here's my conversation with Morgan Baker. Enjoy. Give it a go. I'm so happy to have Morgan Baker here. I've been working with Morgan for a couple years now as a coach. She's an outstanding student. Played in the PWHL growing up for the Blue Water Hawks. Has been 4 years now at the University of Regina, and studying kinesiology and moving on to a postgrad now in occupational therapy. Just great to chat about some goalie stuff and help kids who are coming up understand the challenges and the awesome opportunities that exist for them as they progress through the ranks. So thanks for being here. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's amazing. So why don't you tell me a little bit, and everybody who's listening, a little bit about where you're from, and that I guess let's just start from the beginning. What was the first experience you had with hockey or becoming a goaltender? How did that go down?
Okay, so I'm from Kincardine, Ontario. It's a small town off of Lake Huron for those that don't know where it is. And I always joke that my brother needed somebody to shoot at, so that's what put me in net. But I started out figure skating.
It happens for so many.
Yeah. I started out as a figure skater when I was 3. My parents put me on skates, but then immediately I wanted to be like my dad and like my brother and start playing hockey. So I think I got put into tyke hockey when I was about 5. And then I actually was I was an out player. And then in my first year novice, our goalie kept getting sick or was away. And I was like, I want to try it. So I'd jump in whenever she couldn't make it. And then second year novice, she moved away. And I was like, yep, put me in the net. This is what I want to do. My mom did not want it at all, but my dad was like, hey, she's adamant about it. So, and then I've been goalie ever since.
Yep. Wow. So that's a really young specialization to be a goalie. You know what Hockey Canada is trying to do right now and are doing next year, even in Adam, they've talked about having goalies play out in the games that they're not starting as a goaltender. And so that's a really, I mean, that's how it went for so many kids back in the day. It's like, hey, we need a goalie, and like this person wants to do it, so let's let them do it. Now,
oh, absolutely.
I'm curious. So growing up in Kincardine, what was the situation like for minor hockey there? Did you have to play with the boys, or did you have an all-girls team that you started out on?
I was on an all-girls team, and I played of, with girls teams growing up. However, I always went out and I would AP with the boys teams, and I'd practice with the boys teams in addition to playing with the girls. And then same with spring hockey. We didn't have, like, at the time there was Ice Sharks that my brother played in. It was just boys. Like, there was no girls spring hockey. So my dad actually, for a couple years, created like a girls program for Ice Sharks for spring hockey, and I did that. But I never actually played full time on a guys team. I would just AP and go out to their practices. So I was lucky that way, that I got to develop. There was such strong like women's hockey growing up in Kincardine, and I was lucky to always have a girls program to be in. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's it's a great. There's two great lessons there for kids. One being that you know, you've got to take advantage of the opportunity that you have. So you're looking at going to AP with your brother's team and getting more reps and more opportunity to see shots and grow your game as a goaltender.
Mm-hmm.
But then also being a part of a community where you had girls hockey, which is amazing, because there's so many that don't. And I think, you know, when we're in our little bubbles in the world, we kind of think everybody has that. But I know where I grew up, we didn't even have females playing hockey.
Right.
When I was growing up, it was just all boys hockey. That was it.
Yeah.
I don't know of a girl that played at any level, maybe at the younger levels, but like my sister was a figure skater. I was a hockey player. That's
Right.
how it went.
Yeah.
So that's a really amazing thing to have as a young
Mm-hmm.
female hockey player, is that you had a strong program.
Absolutely.
I guess, yeah. So what other sports and when did you decide, or did you ever make the decision growing up? What other sports did you play, and did you ever make a decision to just play goal? Was there a point in your life where you're like, this is what I'm going to do? I want to go play university hockey, so I'm just going to focus on this.
Yeah. So growing up, I was always playing as many sports as possible. I used to play baseball, soccer. In public school, I was a part of like the volleyball team, the basketball team, track. And then once I made the Bantam AA team with Saugeen Maitland, it was going into grade 9 that was going to be like my first year playing AA hockey. That was when I was like, okay, I need to dedicate myself to this sport if I really want to go play university hockey. So I didn't, at that point, I played like high school hockey for my grade 9 year. And then when I moved to London to play junior, I played high school hockey then, but like my grade 10 and 11 years in high school, I didn't play high school hockey because like I didn't want to risk getting hurt or anything like that. And it was a lot of time taken away from me being like doing the training when I get home from school and then going to practice in Teeswater, because there's always like so much traveling. Everywhere is like a drive from Kincardine. So to do high school hockey at the same time as trying to be my best for my AA team, I decided not to take away high school hockey too. And then I didn't play sports in the summer because like I just wanted to strictly focus on my training, get on the ice in Goddard as much as I could. I didn't want to accidentally, in soccer, I always seem to roll my ankles and sprain my ankle. So I was like, I don't want to risk anything getting hurt in the summer to put me out of the season. So yeah, that was really, once I made a AA team, that was like the point where I was like, okay, if I want to do something with this, I really have to focus in here and dedicate my time and training to this.
Right. And that's even that's young, I think, for a lot of goalies now that to consider being a one sport athlete at 13 years old or 14 years old going, and that would have been your minor bantam year, right? And so I think that it's a good thing for them to hear, because I know a lot of the goalies that I work with play high school hockey and have a lot of fun doing it and a lot of success doing it. But you really have to be focused on what you want at some point and understand the trade-offs, right? So it is great to be a multi-sport athlete and get the benefits as far as, you know, the different looks at athleticism and having that literacy as an athlete. But at some point, the attention comes down to, where am I going to benefit the most in what I want to accomplish? And that's what you made that decision at a really young age, which is, I think it's incredible. I'm sure your mom and dad, especially your dad, had some influence over that decision, but it was it's something that probably helped you be super narrowly focused on, this is where I'm going and this is what I'm going to try and accomplish, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I debated, like, because the rest of my friends, like, they would play soccer over the summer or like slow pitch and stuff like that. And it was something that I didn't even at the time, like, I've never felt like I've missed out on anything, just because, like, I did, like, growing up, play as many sports as possible and participated in as much as I could. So for me, it was, like, exciting that I could put everything I had into, like, one thing and just see the progress I made immediately, because that, like, all my effort was being put into my training and everything was specific to improving as a goalie for hockey. So I know that some people say, like, making that decision so young can be, like, there are negative sides to it, like not getting as much physical literacy and everything. But to me, like, I know that I excelled when I made that decision, so I don't regret it ever. But again, like, everyone's different. Everyone, like, I got excited that all my focus could go into hockey, whereas I know girls that are multi-sport athletes, like, in university, like, and they play soccer at one point and then it's hockey season. Like, to me, that's amazing, and I respect those athletes. I think it's incredible, but I know that I would never be able to do that. Like, I like getting the opportunity to just focus in on hockey. So
yeah, and that is the truth. Everybody's a little bit different in how they navigate the landscape of hockey or multiple sports. I'm like you. I'm a focused guy. So, like, I go down a path and I want to put all my time into that. And really know that I've covered every base I can and that I've given myself every opportunity to succeed. I have a little tiny story about playing other sports and injuring yourself and missing out on opportunity. When I was in my major midget year, I made a spring hockey showcase AAA boys team. And you have to keep in mind, I didn't start playing goal till I was 13, almost turning 14. So this was a big opportunity for somebody who hadn't played a whole bunch. Messing around with my buddies in the gym, playing basketball, I busted my ankle up bad. Like, didn't break it, but just it swelled up so huge that I thought about trying to get in my skate to go to that tournament, but couldn't do it. And so there's trade-offs, right? That's the end result. And everything you do in life, every experience you have, contributes to how you go about it in the future. And for me, I know that was a huge moment where I not only missed out on that hockey tournament in Toronto, but I also missed out on regional track championships, and our 4x100 relay team was amazing. And I blew it for them by just goofing around playing basketball. And so, lots of people will get away with that stuff for the rest of their lives. I didn't. And that's really shaped how I make decisions. And it's the same for you. You found out that at a young age, you wanted to go down that path, and that singular focus for you really propelled you forward and made you feel like you were going in the direction you wanted to go. I think that's so important for young goalies to hear. It's like, it's okay to do it whatever way you want. And that's a huge part of what I do in coaching, is make sure that they understand, you know what, as long as you're giving your best effort, it's never not right.
Absolutely.
But you just got to do your best, right? So whatever you think is the best, I'm here to support you. Let's go.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So I want to touch on a little bit of the junior hockey experience, like what that was like, trying to find a spot, being a kid from a smaller town in, we'll call it northwestern Ontario kind of thing,
Sure.
and how you navigated that, like you said about the driving already, but just trying to find a spot, and then the commitment to, you said you moved to London. So how did that all kind of come together? And then what decisions went into how you were going to do it?
Yeah. So trying to make a junior team was the hardest experience, I'd say, for me, hockey-wise. So I was playing for Saugeen Maitland. I played 2 years. I played a year of bantam there, and then 2 years of midget. And my second year of midget, I realized that I am not getting scouted out of this tiny rink in Teeswater as much as I'd like to, because I knew at that point that I wanted to play university hockey. And I knew of so many girls going to the PWHL, and there are scouts in the cities all the time watching the girls play. So during my second year of midget, I was emailing all the coaches that coached teams in the PWHL to see if they had a spot, because that's another component of being a goalie. There's only really 2 spots, so it's very limited. Opportunities are much more limited for goalies, and I talked to quite a few of them over email, and they said, yeah, like, come on out to a tryout. And again, like, I found it's very political when you get to, I'd say, that level of hockey. So there are a ton of different variables, but I was like, I'm going to go out, give it my best shot, whether they've already kind of made a decision without even seeing me play or what. But so it was like, it's frustrating because all of the teams have tryouts the same week. So I had to make a decision what teams I wanted to go to. Like, it was like strategic planning. So my dad drove me to Mississauga on the Monday night. And again, I'm like 2.5 hours away from Mississauga. So I went to Mississauga tryouts on the Monday night. And then after that tryout, my dad drove me to Etobicoke, and I tried out for their team right after. And that was both Monday and Tuesday. I went to both tryouts. I got cut from both of the teams. So then Wednesday night, my dad drove me to Waterloo, and I tried out for the Kitchener Rangers. And then my dad drove me to London, and I went to London Juniors tryouts right after. And then I kind of spoke to Kitchener's coach and just kind of got a feeling for where he was at. And I just said, you know, I'm not going to come out again. Thank you for having me out, kind of thing. And because I knew my chances were better in London after speaking to their coach, I knew that I had a greater opportunity there. So then on the Thursday night, I went to London tryouts again. Same with Friday night. And I actually thought that I was going to make London, but I was the very last cut. So then there I was scrambling. to find a team to continue to try out for, because again, all tryouts are in the same week. So Blue Water wasn't even in my thoughts, like going into the week on Monday. I thought that I would have made a team by the Friday. So I emailed, I think Saturday morning, first thing in the morning, the coach for Blue Water, and he said, we have one tryout left this afternoon. If you'd like to come out, we haven't made a decision yet on goalies, which I found hard to believe, but I'm like, whatever. I'm going to go. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to prove to them that I should be playing in this league. I am good enough to be here. And I went and tried out. It was their last tryout. And I actually ended up, they made an additional skate, which is very rare, but made an additional skate on the Sunday so that I could have another opportunity to prove to them. And I actually did end up making the team in Blue Water. It was like everything, like I knew that this was my last chance going in on the Saturday. And I knew that it was very like rare. And I was so grateful for the opportunity that that coach was letting me come in on their last tryout. So it was huge making the team there. And then I played 2 years for Blue Water, and we weren't the strongest team by any means, but that was exciting and great for me because I knew I'd get a lot of shots there. When I played for Soggy Maitland a couple of years, I think I averaged like 10 or 11 shots. Like we were strong, and it kind of got a little bit boring. So it was like exciting to get to play at such an elite level of hockey and get a lot of shots. And yeah, I think I improved so much by playing for Blue Water because I was able to develop so much more by seeing so many more shots a game. And it was super fun. So yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah. Well, and that's so what you're saying about getting shots is an amazing point that I think a lot of goalies miss the point on. And they look at it and say, oh, my team is bad, or my team is this or that. But you have to understand the value of seeing those bad, like getting those bad but good for you as a goalie game reads.
Oh, absolutely.
And seeing high quality scoring chances. It's a blessing because you don't have coaches that are spending the time looking at video with you and breaking down those plays and all that stuff. So just the more you see them, the more your brain processes, okay, I did it this way and that didn't work out last time. And now I've got another opportunity to play the same situation again. And you know it's going to come again versus the goalie who gets 12 shutouts in a year, but they average 10 shots a game. And
absolutely,
that's kind of the human conundrum, right? Is like you get into a place where when you were going to try out for junior teams, they might have looked at your stats and said, wow, she has a 945 save percentage and a 0.089 goals against average or whatever. And they would base some of their decision making on that. But then when you get to the junior level, the coaches and scouts from those university programs are actually watching the games. They do look at stats, but they're watching the games. They're understanding, you know, what you look like, how you move, all that stuff. And the stats become, I wouldn't say secondary, because I know a lot of old school coaches who just look at stats and think that that's a goalie's holy grail. But I think they're watching you and they understand that your team is not as strong as the one you're playing against, and that's going to be shown in your stats. It's not representative of what you can do as a goalie if you're put into a situation where you've got a solid program around you. So as a great lesson in that for kids, don't look at it when you're on a team that doesn't win a lot or can't score or has bad defense or whatever it is. It's actually a blessing as a goalie because it's going to help you. It's going to help you grow so fast, way faster than anything else could.
Definitely.
For sure. So let's talk then a little bit about what you felt like. So when you started playing junior, you're one step closer to your goal of going to play university hockey, and you knew that that's where you needed to be to get those looks. Did you change anything else about your routines or your commitment to the game at that point, as far as like maybe off ice stuff, or adding something to your routine, doing a more dynamic warm up before games on a consistent basis, or were you already doing that kind of stuff? I kind of want to feel like, what did the junior experience do for you as a goalie outside of getting a ton of shots and opportunities to grow on the ice?
Yeah, so I'd say the number one difference that comes to mind was that junior was actually the first time I've ever had a goalie coach. It was always my dad teaching me everything and coaching me. So that was like the biggest difference, was there was actually a goalie coach there during our practices that set aside time to work with just the goalies. That's never really been the case growing up, other than when my dad like made the coaches give us time to work on things. So that was the number one like exciting big deal going to junior for me. And then before, like in midget, we always did like our dynamic warm-ups and everything before a game, but the off-ice training definitely like ramped up when I got to junior. During like midget and bantam, like I definitely, during the summer, it was like hardcore training, but it wasn't necessarily like doing like power lifts and everything like that. Whereas when I got more into junior, I got taught that kind of stuff. Before, it was more plyometric work and everything, which is great, and I loved it. And then once I got to junior, I kind of got more into the like how to get my power up and strength and everything like that. And I just like took my training to the next level, I guess. Like I would train every day like I did in midget and bantam for 6 days a week, but it was just like that much more intense. And I knew too that like this was my chance, like this was my opportunity to get seen by university coaches, because again, when I was in midget hockey, nobody really said to me how I should be reaching out to university coaches when I'm in grade 9. Like that wasn't even a thought to me. And then when I went to junior, there was a girl in grade 10 that committed to Cornell like in October, and I'm like, this is crazy. And I know that throughout junior and even like in midget, when I started hearing that some of my friends were committing, I got very like discouraged and upset over it, because I felt like I was every bit as good as some of the goalies that I knew were being committed to D1 schools, and I wasn't even getting looked at. So that really, I think, pushed me with my training and pushed me again with the whole like stats thing. I knew that I'm on a bottom feeder team. I don't know if I'm going to get as many like opportunities of coaches to come watch, because we were located in Strathroy, which is a relatively small town outside of London. Like it's not one of the main centers. So I knew that when I did go to the bigger cities to play against girls, like I wanted to prove to the scouts that, yeah, like my stats may not show that I like my capabilities, but I'll show you right now that I'm every bit as good as these goalies that are being committed. So that, I think, pushed me to really amp up my training, maybe more than other people, because like, for example, one of the first boxes on a scouting page is height. Well, I'm 5'3", like I don't have that. So I need to be good. I need to be quick. I need to be better at other things to prove to them that I can still stop as many pucks as a 6 foot tall goalie, you know? So I'd say everything just kind of amped up in junior because I knew that these were the last opportunities I was going to get to pursue a post-secondary career in hockey. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think there's another amazing lesson for young goalies in there because, boys or girls hockey doesn't matter. Coaches that don't know a lot about goaltending always talk about height as one of the major factors in a goalie's ability. And there's no doubt, you and I have talked about this before, and Michaela, who plays at the University of Waterloo and had an outstanding first year, is 5'3" too. And there's no doubt that if you have two goalies of equal skill and ability, the taller one is going to get the chance ahead of the shorter one. It's just science. You fill more space, right?
Yeah.
But that is not the end of your opportunity as a goaltender. And I love that's a big part of your story that I didn't even have, because I don't think about you guys as being 5'3". I watch you play. I see your tenacity and your commitment to it. And the height doesn't really matter because you can mold your style. And this is an important thing for young goalies to understand is that the way you play the position, when you're 4'8" in P, and then 5'3" in junior versus a 5'8" or 9 or even 10 or 11, there's differences to your game and understanding that, I'm going to have to do this a little bit differently and it's going to look different, but I just need to be successful doing that. And that's what it comes down to. So you understood that about yourself and played the game in a way that made sense for your height, and it obviously paid off because you ended up getting an opportunity to go to the University of Regina, where you started a lot of games and had some pretty amazing success. And I think that just talking a little bit about how that came about, or like what was swirling around, because you talked about everybody else getting opportunities in grade 10 and stuff, and that's another thing that the young kids don't maybe appreciate enough, that don't wait until you get to midget AA second year and to start training the way you would want to train if you knew people were watching, to start having those habits, your warm up, your mental preparation, all those things. Don't wait until somebody tells you to do it, or you feel like you need to do it, because now's the time. Like, make those part habits early on and grow. You didn't know. I didn't know when I was growing up. I was the same as you. No goalie coach. My head coach threatened to tie me to the goalposts like the Mighty Ducks kid if I didn't stop more pucks. Like, that was my goalie coaching. So so you didn't, it's fair to say that you didn't know any better, and that's okay. But in today's world, with the technology we have and the access to information on Instagram and YouTube and all these different things, there's no excuse to not know, or to at least say that, like, I can't access that information. It's baloney. Just talk a little bit about going through that process of making the decision to go to the University of Regina.
Yeah. So, again, do not wait, because that was like my biggest learning lesson. Like, do not wait. And I too, like, a lot of the girls that were being committed, schools were approaching them at like tournaments and stuff like that, and that was another like super discouraging moment for me. It was coming out of the dressing room after a game and girls talking to coaches, and I'd just walk out of the rink. Like, so I ended up emailing, I think, every possible coach I could. I would go home from school and research all the different rosters of all the women's programs of schools to see what years their goalies were in, because again, opportunities are limited. There's only 2 to 3 spots for goalies for university hockey. So I would go and I had a list of all the schools that I needed to look at their rosters, and I'd check off and I'd write down what years their goalies were in. So I knew, should I contact them or not, if they had a graduating goalie, or if they had like 2 freshmen and a junior, they're set. Like, I shouldn't waste time kind of emailing them, but I emailed every single coach where I saw like a potential opportunity. But again, I received so many emails, like, we've got goalies committed up until I was looking for 2015 to go in. And they were like, we're committed until 2017. And I'm just like, what? Like, this is crazy. So it was a very discouraging process. And then I was playing in a tournament in Brampton, I believe it was, or Brantford, I can't remember. And it was in December. So normally girls are committed definitely by this time. And so I was very discouraged at this point, but I knew that scouts would be at this tournament. So again, I wanted to put up my best performance because I knew that this was going to be one of my last opportunities again. I always try and put out my best performance, but like, I knew this was one of my last chances again. And then my coach now was at that tournament, and she approached me immediately after one of my games where we lost like 4-0, I think it was. And I didn't think I had one of my best games. And I knew that she was there at this point because I saw her, and I saw a couple of the other coaches that I had emailed up in the stands. And I was like, oh no, this is not good. I'm super worried about this. And that's another lesson I learned. Like, you can't, even if you see or you know that a scout is at your game, do not let it get to your head. Just play your game, because I worried too much about them being there, and it affected my performance. So, and I put so much pressure on myself. I remember so many games where I knew that coach that I emailed was going to be at this game. So I put a ton of pressure on myself, and then I didn't perform to my best abilities, and that just discouraged me even more. So that was a huge lesson for me. But anyhow, so my coach now was at that game, and I spoke to her right after, and she immediately wanted to fly me out to tour the school. However, the whole reason why she was kind of last minute looking for a goalie was the goalie that she thought was coming in to play for them ended up changing her decision last minute and going to a different university. So as much as I hate to say stuff about being lucky, that was I got my opportunity because somebody else changed their mind. So as much as hard work and everything, you need to put in the work to get where you want to be. And I truly believe that. You have to dedicate yourself and put in your best effort. I got extremely lucky, I guess, in this case that, a different goalie changed her mind, and my coach had to scramble and was looking for someone to come in the next year. And I was lucky enough that I was at that tournament and I played relatively well, and she was there to see me. So that's how I ended up in Regina. It again was very this is my last chance, this is my last opportunity. So I never was a goalie that people were I want to have this girl, I want to sign her. Never. never, ever, ever. It has always been like, okay, this is my last shot. I got to give it everything I got. So, yeah.
I think, and honestly, you know, having trained with you and seeing your commitment to how you play goal, it was probably never about any of that. It was just a height thing, which is unfortunate, but it's the truth about a lot of coaches. They just don't, they don't understand it. But we're doing our best to try and prove them wrong.
Yes.
By you guys going out and having success. There's a couple things you said there that I think are really important. You know, when you're preparing for a game, and you said to yourself, like, I was way too worried about what was going on outside of my control, and allowing that to affect my performance. And I think you know, it's good to acknowledge that you have feelings about something, so you're nervous or you're excited because that person's there, and you know it's your last chance, or you know you need a big performance, but those things can negatively impact how you play. And I think you know, we've talked a lot about it since we've been training together, how we can focus that energy into a different place, and just know that and you touched on how much you continued to prepare even though you knew it was getting down to the last moment, the last opportunity. You still did the work to be prepared and do your best when you showed up at the rink. And that's really the thing that allows you to perform at your highest when you do show up, regardless of last chance or regardless of big game or anything, you know, bad day at the office, whatever it is. You can just channel all that energy into, I'm just going to go out and do my best. I've prepared for this moment. And I'm going to give it everything I got and let it end up the way it will. And you're right. You had the benefit of somebody else changing their mind, but had you not continued to work hard and put that effort into your goal and what you wanted to achieve right to the last second, it probably wouldn't have happened for you, right? That's fair to say.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so let's kind of steer away from the University of Regina and all the stuff that went into getting there, because I think we've really covered that off pretty well. The stuff that I want to talk about next is kind of, you know, what you feel about the game, what is given to your life, like some of the great memories you've had, you know, a favorite thing about the game. We could talk about, you know, I think we've hit on the biggest obstacle you've overcome. And we know your parents invested a lot, from being your goalie coach when you were a kid to driving you long distances for tryouts. And I respect all that, because I grew up in the country, of the country kid too. So I know all about that. So let's go, like, what's your favorite thing about the game of hockey? What's the thing that it's given you, whether it's a specific memory or a group of memories or something that you really, really, when you look back on your experience with hockey down the road, that you're going to be like, I think that's amazing that I had that opportunity.
Hockey, honestly, I can't put it, like, I can't think of one specific memory, but most of all, it has shaped me as a person. I've learned so many life skills from hockey, as well as the friendships that I've made from hockey has been incredible. So the people that I have met through hockey is amazing, and I know that I have so many people in my life now because of the sport, and that I always will. And it has given me so many different opportunities, like playing for the University of Regina. I've gotten to see so many different parts of Canada that I know that I would have never had the opportunity of seeing. And then just having built so many great memories with the girls, like, I just love being part of something bigger. And by being on a hockey team, I always have felt like that. I've always felt a part of something where like we've made an impact. And especially like at the University of Regina, there's so many volunteer opportunities that we do with coaching little kids. And that to me is like huge, and what has impacted me to want to develop my own goalie school. And when I'm done school, want to continue coaching and giving back to the game, because it has done so much for me. My life has literally been revolved around this sport. And as much as I love competing, and I love that feeling when you make like an amazing save, or like your team has an awesome, like you guys get such a great win together, and it was truly like a team game. Everyone from the net out played their best and like had each other's backs. Like that is the best feeling in the world. And I know that I'm going to miss that feeling. Like when I'm done hockey, I know that I'm truly going to miss that feeling of competing and being a part of the team, like, and just like being surrounded by the girls. Like it's so much fun. Like you have so much fun in the dressing room and in the hotel rooms and on the bus. Like there's so many memories from that hockey has given me that I just like will miss. But it's not just like the sport and actually playing the sport that I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss everything surrounding it. I'm going to miss like going to the rink after a long day and just like goofing around in the dressing room with the girls. And like I'm going to miss like knowing that I have to work out and I have to eat properly because I have practice tonight and I have a game. Like I'm going to miss just being like an athlete all around. But I know that I have like become who I am because of the sport. And I'm grateful for all of the opportunities it has given me. And I'm excited that I know that I can have opportunity moving forward with hockey as a coach, whether it's at an elite level or not. I'm excited to be able to give back to the game and the sport that I love. And I am extremely grateful for the many friendships I've made through the sport. So I can't really, there's been so many great memories from hockey that I can't think of just one, but it just like truly has shaped who I am. And yeah, I love it. And I'm going to miss it when I'm done playing.
Yeah. I bet you will. And I think that goes for everybody who's invested so much energy and time into something. But it is the life skills. It's the things that you learn, the friendships, the maturing that you get from it, all of those things that are really, really, that's what it's about. It's just the understanding about what you're going to take forward in your life from those experiences that make it so amazing. You talked about, and I wanted to touch on it, was going away from home. So you went to another province, to a place you've probably never been before, to play at a level, again, knowing that you're going to have to elevate your game and go in there kind of last minute. How did that feel at first? And then where did you get to as time went on? It was just another hockey team, right? It was a group of people that you were doing something that you loved with, and it didn't matter where it was, kind of thing, probably. So what did that feel like at first, going away from home? And then how did that sort of come to be that, that was home?
Yeah. When I initially committed to Regina, I flew out there, and it was a beautiful sunny winter day. Wasn't that cold. So I never really knew anything about Regina. Like I was there for like 24 hours. That was it. I didn't know that it gets to -40 or anything like that. So I committed there like immediately. Like I signed my papers in the airport security line and gave them to the coach. And I'm like, yep, I'll be here next year. My mom was super upset.
And your coach was in the back doing like fist pumps.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And my mom was like super upset with me because I didn't really give it any thought. I was just like, yeah, I want to go here. Like, I'm ready. Obviously, she was extremely excited for me as well. But that was kind of like my whole, even like that summer, everyone's like, oh, you're moving so far away. Like, are you getting nervous? Like, asking me so many questions. But I never really thought of it. Like, I just didn't put any thought into it. I was just like, this is where I wanted to be. I wanted to get to play university hockey, so this is what I'm doing. And it didn't matter that I was a 25 and a half hour drive from home. I'm like, this is what I wanted to do, so I'm doing it. But then it was like, everyone's like, well, are you nervous? Because, like, you don't know anybody going out there. Like, you don't know a single person. And I'm like, yeah, not really nervous about it, because I knew that, like, I was automatically going to have 23 sisters. Like, by being a part of a team, I knew that, like, I had people that would have my back. Obviously, it's a little, like, nerve-wracking going in and being a rookie and trying to make a good impression and make a whole bunch of new friends and everything. But I don't know. I just, again, thought, like, it's just another hockey team that I'm playing for. So I wasn't super nervous. But then my first year, kind of, I've never had the circumstance where I went a few weeks without playing in a game. So when that reality kind of set in, I got very homesick, and very, like, discouraged, very frustrated, because I felt that I was putting in so much hard work and I was proving every day that I deserved to be playing. And my goalie coach, when I brought to his attention, like, that this was super frustrating to me, as I felt like I was, like, I literally had to ask him, like, what am I doing wrong here? And he said, you have to pay your dues. And as a rookie, like, I look back now and I'm like, maybe I wasn't as strong as I thought I was. Like, I was just a rookie kind of thing. And I just, like, at the time was immature and didn't understand. I'm like, why do I have to pay my dues if I'm playing and being able to, like, if I'm playing at my best and I'm performing well enough to play? Like, I don't get it. So once that, like, kind of, like, dealing with that made me homesick, because I cried to my mom all the time about hockey, and I cried to my dad about hockey, like, not having them there in person to support me. That really hit home. And that's probably the point where, like, I was like, what have I done? How am I going to survive 4 years of this? How am I going to, like, I just want to go home.
And we all have those moments.
Yes. However, we went, like, December without playing any games just because it's final season. And then January we come back, and I ended up getting a lot more starting time the second half of the season. And that kind of, like, from that point on, I knew that I was okay, and I knew that I could get through it. Being out, like, I don't want to say on my own, because I still, like, FaceTime my parents every day. And if I needed to, I'd cry to them over FaceTime, like, have their support. But from that point, I knew that I was able to get through it, and I was able to kind of prove myself, and, like, I belonged there type thing. So it didn't really hit me hard when I first initially moved out there. Like, it was more like excitement, and I'm like, this is what I've worked so hard for all these years. I'm excited to get to do this. But then, like, as soon as kind of, like, the whole playing time started to be a factor, it became very draining, and I missed home, and I wanted to be back home. But then it's just like a life lesson that I learned. Like I was able to learn right off the hop there is like, you know, you can, even though things are tough, like you can definitely work through it. And I saw like the results second half of the season, I got more opportunities and I got to play more games. So then that just kind of like kept me going. And then same with like the past 3 years since then, it's just like, it is home for me now. Like I'm comfortable there and I like it out there. Not so much in the winter when it's -40 with the wind chill, but it's still like I do enjoy like my time out there, and I have like the girls that are my family out there. Like I love them, and that's one of the main like, that has come to mind recently is like moving back home again for the summer. I'm just like, when I am done hockey, all my like best friends are in Saskatchewan or Manitoba, and I'm here. Like, when am I gonna see all my girls? So that's like huge for me. Like it's crazy how much you can feel like at home away from home because of the people that you surround yourself with. It's kind of going on a rant here, but yeah. So I'd say like over the years,
it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. Over the years, I've just gotten more comfortable with, you know, like you build your friendships out there and everything. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think there was something you said in there that a lot of goalies I don't think understand, and it's a lesson or something they can understand about coming up through the ranks. I've seen it. It happens a little bit earlier on the boys' side, but on the girls' side, you generally split in hockey all the way up until the point that you get to university as a goaltender. And then it's like, okay, you're the third goalie. You're never going to see start. You might not even dress for a season. I know that that's a struggle for a lot of female goalies. The boys, it kind of comes in minor hockey a little bit more at the younger ages where, especially like minor midget, if there's one who's an outstanding goaltender, they may use them a little bit more in playoffs. Definitely there's a starter and a non-starter kind of role. But girls hockey is a little bit different that way. And so I know, you know, at the University of Waterloo, I've had lots of those conversations over the years I've been there with the new goalies coming about the challenges of I've been playing, I've done all this work, I'm here, why don't I get to play? And it's paying your dues. It's respect for that person who's been there and put in 2 or 3 more years in the program than you have already. Again, it comes back to continuing to do the work so that when you do get an opportunity, you're ready for it. It's not going the other way and being like, you know what, this is the last tournament of the year and my chances are pretty well gone to get noticed for a university team. It's not like, oh, December's here and we're halfway through the year and I haven't started a game yet and I'm just gonna call it a day. It's like, I gotta keep doing the work. This is what I wanted. I asked for this and here I am.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes things are a long play, but you got to keep doing the work to get out of it what you want. Yeah. And you've been successful in getting a lot out of it from something that seemed like such a long shot for so long. And you've had a really good opportunity and made a great group of friends there that I know that that becomes a really amazing opportunity when you do split up and go your separate ways to get together again in Regina or maybe somewhere warmer and have your team bonding stuff and still they're always going to be part of your life. That is for sure. So I think that's amazing. Let's wrap up on 2 things. One, it looked back, something you could control that you might have done differently over the course of your hockey life. So not something that was outside of your control, like not knowing that you needed to be emailing teams earlier, but something that you would look back and say, if I could do that different now myself to affect the results that I got, knowing what I knew, what would I do?
I definitely, my biggest challenge, and I still struggle with it, is understanding that I can't worry about the uncontrollable. I need to focus on what I can control. And I wish that I knew that, and I wish I understood that better at a younger age, because basically my biggest weakness is definitely the mental aspect of the game. It's always been like a struggle for me to kind of get that understood and in proper alignment that it needs to be in to play at my best. And I just wish I understood at the time like how impactful like self-talk is. And because like when I got discouraged about not getting committed to a team, I would talk to myself negatively, and like I would be talking to myself negatively before a game or during a game. Like if I made a mistake in a game and I saw that a scout was there, I was not reinforcing myself with positive talk. Like, and I just wish that I had have learned how to control that much better at a younger age, and how to kind of understand how impactful it is to talk to your, like how negatively or positively self-talk can play a huge role in how well you perform as a goalie. And I just wish that I kind of was able to develop that better when I look back, just because like I know that that's something that has held me back from playing opportunities. So that is one thing that I wish I started to work on more at a young age, just because everyone's always like, you got to do the get on ice as much as you can. You got to do the off ice training as much as you can. And I fully believe that. And I would crush the off ice training and get on the ice as much as I could, because that's what I thought was important. But I didn't realize how important it is mentally to make sure you're positively self-talking or talking to yourself, and how important every other aspect is around the game, such as like your sleep and getting your schoolwork done, so that even though you may not think that it's stressing you out, not having an assignment handed in on time is in the back of my head, whether I know it or not, and could affect my game. Like being able to control all those different aspects, I wish I realized how important all of that stuff was on my mental health for the game. So I really wish that I, looking back, kind of controlled the mental aspect a little more. So
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal lesson for a lot of young goalies. And again, you know, we've talked about it, everybody's different. So some people just are naturally able to roll with the punches and it doesn't really affect them. And some people, they put on a good face and it builds up and then it just all comes crumbling down at some point. Or some people just aren't geared that way to begin with. But the important thing to understand about the mental side of the game is it's just like every goalie does post integration a little bit different based on their height or their flexibility or whatever. The mental side of the game is the same, and you can train it when you know or understand what you're doing and how you're doing it and how it affects your performance. And everything you said there is a perfect example, because you're like, I'm cool with not having that assignment done, but it's rolling in the back of your mind, in the subconscious, and it does affect the way you play. And then sleep, consistent sleep, nutrition, even like doing workouts, that stuff's important for your body to understand that you have a purpose and there's a process to it. And you can do the same with your pregame preparation, your visualization, your mental preparation, all that stuff. And I think, you know, it's a scary or touchy subject for a lot of people because they feel like we're going to get into some territory, and it's tough to understand. It's not like a math equation on a piece of paper. It's an unknown for a lot of people. And so it's great that you brought that up, because I think there's a lot to be gained for everybody if they analyze the way that they talk to themselves. That's mostly what it comes down to. It's when you let a bad goal in and you make that decision about how you're going to go forward from that. Some people, it just naturally rolls off their back. I was never that person. And I'm the same as you. I wish I had have known, had somebody say to me, hey, like, the way you're reacting or the mental state that you're in right now is not going to allow you to have great success when the next shot comes. Right. And that's it. I think it's a fantastic lesson for young goalies to understand that it's not a scary place to go into. It's actually super beneficial if you approach it from the perspective of what's it going to do for me and how can I use it to improve, just like I do a different workout off the ice than a skater does because I know that I have to work specific muscles. Same thing. Right. Let's end on the greatest lesson you feel like hockey has taught you, the most inspiring or the best thing that you're going to take forward from hockey, because you're getting near that point where it's not going to be a majorly significant part of your life anymore. As sad as that is to talk about, everything, you know, runs its course. At some point, people retire when they're 65, and that's just part of being a human. So what do you think the biggest thing you're going to take away from hockey is? And I bet you it changes 2 or 3 years from now when you're finally done competitive hockey, where you're training and doing all the work every day. But what do you think right now the greatest lesson hockey has taught you?
I would say definitely just enjoy the ride and take in the moment as it is. There's always going to be, whether it's at a job or in a relationship or playing your sport, there's going to be a low point. There's going to be a point where you want to break. And I have learned that in various, not just in sport. But you really have to enjoy what you're going through and learn from it. Learn from the negatives, learn from the positives. You have to enjoy the grind, basically. So my dad always tells me, like, you have to make sure that you are learning and you are enjoying what you're doing. You have to enjoy, like, it sucks not playing, and it sucks working your butt off every single day, but you gotta enjoy the ride. Like, this is all a part of it. Like, this is what you signed up for, and this is, you just have to make sure that you continue to learn and you continue to grow from every opportunity you're given. And that's basically, like, hockey has really taught me that nothing really comes easy, that it requires a ton of work, and it may seem like it's crappy at different points, but I know that I learned from all the experiences that I went through, and I'm a better person because of it. And I truly, like, have taken that kind of enjoy the ride motto this past season and just kind of went with it. Like, do I like being big skated? No, and I'm going to enjoy the ride, because this is one of, like, I'm not going to get big skated when I'm done playing hockey, and I'll probably miss it. So, yeah, just take everything in the moment and just enjoy it and learn from it.
Yeah, I think that is probably the most powerful lesson we can learn in life. Some of us learn it in different ways. I know I did. But, you know, being in the moment, enjoying what's there, accepting it for what it is. It doesn't mean you're complacent. It just means that it is what it is. And there's a lot of factors in life that are outside of your control. The key is everything that happens to you is an opportunity to learn. You said it.
Yeah.
I believe it. That's just the way it is. And it turns you into and makes you the person that you are, capable of taking on so much more when different scenarios in life come along, whether it's work related, relationship related. It's just, that is a superpower that people can have, is looking at what can I learn from this situation. But you got to be present, and you got to be prepared to acknowledge that, you know what, yeah, I didn't like that. How would I do it different next time? Or how can I look at it different so that it benefits me? And that's it. It's amazing. I think, unless there's something you want to add, I'm just grateful that we got the opportunity to do this. I think that the people who have the opportunity to listen are going to gain a ton of value from this experience, especially the female goalies who very rarely get opportunity until they get to junior, kind of like you did, to understand the process. And I just think that that's such a valuable thing for them to help guide them and let them know that, you know what, if you want to do it, you can, but you got to do the work. It's not going to be like, hey, I was just here, showed up, and this great thing happened.
Yeah.
It's going to take work, because there's somebody else like Morgan Baker out there who's 5'3" doing the work.
Yes, I agree. You have to be dedicated to put in the work, for sure.
Well, there you have it. Some amazing insight from Morgan Baker. And my thanks again to her for sharing such great detail about her journey. And if you enjoyed that conversation, you aren't going to want to miss next week's episode, where we talk with University of Waterloo Warriors freshman goaltender Michaela Schnarr, who just wrapped up a stellar first season in USports. We'll cover some similar ground to what we did today, but from Michaela's own unique perspective, one that's seen her participate in U18 development camps, win an OFSA Girls High School Hockey Championship, and be named to the OUA All-Rookie team in her first season playing for her hometown Waterloo Warriors. I can't wait to share that one with you. Until then, take care of yourselves out there, and thanks for listening.